so this is our second kind of type of inheritance pattern we're talking about. The first type we talked about was just simple dominance and recessive. Just simple. If you have a big letter, then you have a dominant trait. If you have two little letters, then you have a recessive trait. This one's a little different because, yeah, you're going to have big letters and little letters, dominant and recessive alleles, except they aren't masked all the way. So like a dominant trait would usually mask or hide entirely, no questions asked. The recessive trait. And this one, instead of hiding it all the way, it actually mixes it and blends just a little bit with it. And that makes a totally different phenotype than we ever would have thought possible. Well, not totally, but because you guys know how things blend. So I'm going to use my food coloring as an example of this. So in this case, the dominant allele is not strong enough to hide. So it's going to be allowing the recessive trait to shine through. When would that actually occur? Well, it's only going to occur when you have something heterozygous. So something like big B, little b. Instead of being dominant, it's going to be incompletely dominant, which would yield a blended phenotype. So let's say I have birds, and let's say I have a blue bird, and I have a yellow bird. So to be blue, that means you have the dominant trait. Let's do capital B. Makes sense, yeah? Blue birds, yeah. Okay, if you're a yellow bird, then you would have the recessive trait, which would be little b. To be the blue bird, though, you absolutely have to be homozygous, big B, big B. What color do you think is going to occur when a blue bird mates with a yellow bird? Green bird, okay? So just like here, you got your yellow bird and your blue bird. This is big B, big B. This is little b, little b. They make heterozygous babies. Okay, it makes a totally different phenotype. Totally different, okay? It's not the same at all. All right, so in our case, let's mate. Let's get on the board, though. Let's mate blue bird with yellow bird. What kind of babies do they make? Capital B, little b on all of them, right? What are the colors of all these birds? Huh? Green, 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 green. So in this case, it doesn't make either blue or yellow, it makes green. So when we write these phenotypic ratios, they're going to come out something that's special. Let's do the genotypic ratio for this first, and then we'll do the phenotypic ratio. What are my 3 different possibilities for genotypes in this type of example? Yeah. Big B, big B. Little b, little b. And then my different phenotypes that are possible. Blue. I'm going to go in order though. Blue. Yellow is the last one, right? Because it's going to be little b, little b. So blue, green, yellow. All right, so you can see that whatever I have for big B, it's going to be blue. Whatever I have for big B, little b, so heterozygous, it's going to be green. And whatever number I have for recessive, it's going to be yellow. So the numbers are going to be exactly the same because each genotype delivers a specific phenotype. But in this case, it's all 0 to 4 to 0 across the board. There's 0 blues, 4 greens, and 0 yellows. All right, so let's do this example. In snapdragons, there's just a type of flower. The red flowers are incompletely dominant. So that means right there, not a normal problem. Okay, it's going to be one of those weird problems where you have a blend. It has to say that there. That's how you know for sure you're dealing with this type of problem. The intermediate is pink. Well, that makes sense. Red and white together make pink. Cool? Let's do the example. Cross 2 pink flowers. What is the probability of having a red flower? So if I'm a pink flower, I'm a heterozygote. So what's my genotype? Look, using my examples here. Big A, little a, big A, little a. Fill it in. Big A, little a. Big A, little a. Little a. Okay, color of this one. Red. Color of this one. No. Pink. This is the one where you have a third genotype, because if you have a heterozygous, it's going to be the blended. Pink and white. Okay, so the genotypic ratio, write this example down with me so you at least have one to go through, especially if you didn't write that one down. The genotypic ratio, I can have big A, big A, big A, little a, or little a, little a. How many of each do I have? One, two, 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 one. So what can you automatically assume right now for phenotypic ratio? Hmm? Hmm? Oh, I'm sorry. The ratio itself, I'll go with it. Red, pink, white. What can you automatically, though, assume? I don't even have to look at the Punnett square to tell you the numbers for this. Because they are the exact same, because the genotypes have a specific phenotype. It's not like, oh, I'm dominant, I can have homozygous or dominant or heterozygous. It's like, if I'm this color, I have this genotype. So I already know they're exactly the same. I know it's 1 to 2 to 1. And I can verify that because I've got one red, 2 pinks, 1 white, 1 white. These, only in incomplete dominance and codominance do these ratios come out to be exactly the same. What's the percentage chance of having a red baby flower? Percentage. Huh? Right, because I only have one red, so 1 of 4 flowers. So 1 red out of 4 total is 25%. Thumbs up if you get this. All right, let's do one more example just for the fun of it. Already did that. Let me scooch forward. I'll be right back to this other stuff. Be right back to this. Okay, let's talk about poofkins. Poofkins. SpongeBob loves growing flowers for his pal Sandy. Her favorite flowers are poofkins. They're found to be red, blue, and purple. So purple is going to be the mixture one, right? So what type of inheritance are we talking about here? Incomplete dominance, right? So when it says type of inheritance, it's just saying like the type that we've talked about. Okay, what would happen if SpongeBob crossed a poofkin with red flowers with a poofkin with blue flowers? All right, so we don't have any letters so far. Let's make up our own letters. What letters do you guys want to use for these types of flowers?
P.
I'll go with P. Okay, so P for poofkin. So red is going to be which type? Big P, big P. Blue is going to be, huh? Little p, little p. And purple is going to be big P, little p. Okay, because the purple is the one that's mixed between red and blue. So a red poofkin is going to be big P, and a blue poofkin is going to be little p, little p. So when you cross these in a Punnett square, big P, little p, what are all of these? Big P, little p, big P, little p, big P, little p, big P, little p. So all of these are going to be purple. So all of them have what? Well, they all have the big P, little p genotype. I was going to ask that. So how many of the plants would have red flowers? None. How many would have purple flowers? 100%. How many of the plants would have blue flowers? 0. Question?
How do you know that the red is the dominant color?
This is through previous experimentation. I'm telling you this. I'm telling it to you. I should say it in the problem note so you would. Yeah, sorry. Usually the first one given is the dominant, but not all the time. I would have to tell you more specifically. Okay, let's do codominance, and then we are good. We're going to talk about sickle cell anemia actually, and then we're good. Okay, we are here. This one's a little different. Write down the details about codominance, and then we'll do an example problem. Just a teeny bit different. Roan. Yeah, R-O-A-N. Not Roan. He's Kyle's buddy. Absentee buddy. I'll figure it out. Okay. Jermaine's buddy. I got Austin. Okay, so how is this one different? What have you seen so far? Yeah.
Oh, they're all capital letters.
Okay, they're all capital letters. And what about the actual physical nature of it? Like, what does it look like? Huh? Okay, it doesn't have any recessives, but like the way something would look, instead of blending, it does what?
So blending, like you see both of the traits at the same time.
Right, so they're both present. It's not like, oh, I'm going to make pink, I'm going to leave it as white and red. No blending, it's just they're both on the same organism. All right, so two alleles are dominant. So codominance. Co always means together, like cooperate, co-workers. Can't think of any other code words. Covalent. Okay, so it means that both can be working together. Dominance means they're going to be present. If they're alleles there, it's going to be present. So in this case, both alleles are dominant. The heterozygous is going to be like, you know, 2 letters, capital letters. Doesn't, you know, whatever it is. There we go. Okay, they're both going to be there. In horses, red hair and white hair are codominant. Okay, so that means that right now we know that both of those are going to be expressed if they're there. The intermediate, it just has a different color. It's called roan. And it says a blending of red hairs and white hairs. I'm just going to put red hairs and white hairs. I don't want you to even think the word blending right now. So in our example, big R is going to be red. Big W is going to be white. But big W, big R is going to be roan. So if we want to cross a red horse and a white horse, the chances of having a red offspring that's we're looking for. So let's cross a red horse. What's the genotype of a red horse? Big R, and a white horse? Big W. So what are all of these? RW, 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 RW. And they all have what color? What's the phenotype? Red and white, okay, which has a specific name. It's called roan. Okay, so let's write out the genotypic ratios and the phenotypic ratios. I just want you to see the same thing we saw earlier. Your possibilities are big R, big W, W, W. How many big R's? 0. Big R, big W? 4. And WW? 0. Okay. What color is red? I mean, what color does RR represent? Red. This one is roan, which is what you would call when it's red and white. And then the WW is going to be white. How many are red? 0. How many are roan? 4. How many are white? 0. Okay, notice again, the exact genotype has a specific phenotype, so those ratios are always going to be the same for incomplete dominance and codominance. Thumbs up if you get this. Yay. Okay, let's talk about a specific example of incomplete dominance. Yes, sir.
Is it also like, let's say a horse, let's have red hair, pink hair, and white hair?
The pink, the trait of hair color is actually polygenic. It's controlled by like 50 genes. We're simplifying it and saying that's only controlled by 1 gene. So with the way we're saying it, it's either or.
Alright.
But the way that probably happens, yeah, it probably can happen. Oh, I gotta show you my poof box. Okay. We have these lovely organisms called the red poofs. Red poofs are codominant with black poofs. Okay? Red, black poofs come together to make a, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a black-red poof baby. Okay? It's both of them are shown. There's no blending. It's like I'm here and I'm here. You've got 2 genotypes that are shown. Okay, that's pretty easy. All right, sickle cell. I'm gonna show you a picture first of what sickle cell anemia is. Who's ever heard of sickle cell anemia? Okay, do you guys know where it's present? What countries it's most highly present in?
Canada. Africa.
Africa is actually it. It's most highly prevalent in Africa. And the reason why is because, one, first of all, it's genetically inherited. So people who interbreed with their own populations, that gene stays localized instead of escaping and going to other populations. It is present in other populations, but it's most highly prevalent in Africans. Okay? So the way it looks, and I'll tell you more. Let me just turn this light on real fast. The way it looks is normal blood cells have this big round shape. Yes? Sickles are supposed to resemble like a crescent moon. So these are the sickle-celled shapes here. That's really bad for, one, your blood vessels, because it could puncture your blood vessels because they're going to have like a sharp end, and they also can like get stuck and build like a clot almost because of their sharp nature instead of being like this nice puppy shape that just goes through your veins and arteries. So this is one, it's bad because of that. But two, what is the job of a red blood cell? Huh? Thank you. Carry oxygen. So the big puffy red blood cells carry lots of oxygen because there's a lot of hemoglobin in there that can do that. This red blood cell here is very thin. There's not a lot of hemoglobin protein. It's actually like none. Okay, it's lacking hemoglobin, the best version of hemoglobin anyway, and so it can't carry oxygen very well. So what are those people not going to be able to do in their mitochondria? I heard something. Thank you, cellular respiration. Okay, so people who have oxygen can go take it to the mitochondria, do cellular respiration, make lots and lots of ATP. Woo! Super energetic, right? Lots of energy to do everything. Over here, little to no ATP can be made, so they're going to feel really weak and tired all the time like you guys right now. Take a minute, get up and stretch. Go say hello to a friend. Give 30 seconds. Okay, have sleepers. Walk around. There's a splash of water in your face. I'll give you 30 seconds. Another 20 seconds. We've been here for 30 minutes and you guys are like, 30 minutes.
Go.
Weird. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to your seats. Write this down right now and then we'll talk about it. Rashawn, write this down right now and then we'll talk about it. Write this down right now and then we'll talk about it. This is the only disease we're going to talk about with this particular type of inheritance. 20 seconds or so. I'll scroll up here in just a second. I'm gonna go back to the talk real fast. Tackled it, and I'll come back down. Okay, so this one's actually a little bit controversial because they're not 100% sure on how all this stuff forms, but they believe that sickle cell disease, or sickle cell anemia, sometimes it's called, is actually incompletely inherited or incompletely dominantly inherited. Which means that you have to have what genotype to get this disorder? What genotype would you have to have? Go. Homozygous dominant, heterozygous, or homozygous recessive?
Heterozygous dominant.
Okay, so you could have a little bit of sickle cell if you were like heterozygous. Could you have it if you were homozygous recessive?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so this is definitely going to mean that you have sickle cell anemia. This is going to say you have the trait, but it's not the only type of blood cells you have. You also have normal blood cells. So this is the blended one. And this is sickle cell right here. Anemia. Okay, so one, we already know what they look like. We know they look like little crescent-shaped moons. They are going to be limiting the amount of oxygen they can get to the cells, which is bad because you definitely need that for making ATP. If you don't have ATP, then no chemical reactions can occur, and that would be horrible because most of your body runs, all of your body runs on chemical reactions, okay? So that can actually be really detrimental if you have sickle cell anemia, okay? You have a lot of health issues. Also, less oxygen just means that you run out of the ability to make certain molecules in your body. Okay, so we are talked about a little bit. It's more common in people with African descent because that population commonly mates together, okay? Makes babies, so that trait stays within that lineage. But it is present in other populations. So the defective hemoglobin means that the hemoglobin protein doesn't form exactly right, causing the red blood cells to be really weird in that crescent shape. So it's present in 1 in every 12 African Americans. Okay, that's only the ones that are heterozygous though. Okay, so they have the big S and the little s. Last 2 years ago, I had somebody who actually had the trait and they knew it. So she said when she exercised, she could only exercise for like 20 minutes at a time because she just got really exhausted because her oxygen wasn't being delivered to her cells very well. But she was fine. She could exercise. She could do it. She's a normal person. But she told everybody, I was like, that's so cool. Yeah.
I have a trait, it just doesn't do anything now.
But you don't feel like tired at all? How do you know you get the trait?
It's my doctor told me, my friends.
Yeah, so I didn't know people could just get tested for it. I don't know if it's like a common, like on, you remember we talked about the newborn screening test where they take the heel and they prick it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's one of those ones they test for, but I'll have to look at that. Because I mean, I know I don't have it, but that's because nobody ever told me I have it. Okay, so we talked about what it looks like. Sometimes though, it's okay to have this trait because it actually provides you with an advantage. One, yeah, it's bad, like you don't have the capability of getting oxygen to your cells all the time. But two, the disease malaria loves your red blood cells. And it goes to your red blood cells and it makes more babies and it bursts your red blood cells and it spills its babies across your body. And that's really bad because it's going to continually spread that disease across your body, okay? But if malaria likes red blood cells, what if you have some really not so great red blood cells? Are they going to stay in there and live there? No, okay? They don't want to live in crescent-shaped red blood cells. They want to live in the big, fluffy, round ones. So if you're in an area where malaria is very, very present, prevalent, and you have sickle cell anemia, you're probably not going to get malaria. Well, which is more deadly, malaria or sickle cell anemia? Malaria is going to kill you, probably. Sickle cell anemia is like, man, I can't exercise for 2 hours at a time. Darn. Okay? And I'm going to be tired sometimes, but it's not death. It's not going to kill you, okay? So what can happen is there's this important feature you need to add to your notes, okay? There's an added benefit of being a heterozygote because you have protection against malaria in areas where malaria is present. In America, is there a lot of malaria? No. So that's why this disease is not incredibly common here, because there's no added protection for that individual to have that disease. So it's probably, whoever inherits it is not going to be, I don't know, maybe passing it on. It depends on how we talk about the populations and, you know, migrations and immigrations and stuff like that. But if you're in an area where malaria is present, it'll help you become, or it'll help in the resistance to malaria. And you won't have the severe symptoms of being little less, which would be meaning entirely sickle cell. Okay, thank you. All right, and then I was going to show you these pictures. Would you, Dustin, while you're going to put those lights for me? I'm going to show you these pictures real fast of symptoms of malaria. Here's the, leave that one on. Please, thank you. All right, here's the red blood cell that's infected with malaria parasites. Ew, right? You see it? That's it bursting open because of the malaria eggs. You can see that it's highly prevalent in areas near the equator. So malaria really likes hot environments, and that happens to be where a lot of people with sickle cell anemia exist as well. All right, so this is from National Geographic, and I'm going to show you these. I'm going to make these bigger. Nope. All right, so here's the mosquito that carries malaria. Anopheles mosquito. Here is the malaria parasites in the blood cells. Gross. And that's a microscopic view. Where do mosquitoes like to live? Wet and moist areas. They like to live in like cesspools and ponds and standing water. It's kind of, you can see people living here, and that happens to be where they live, and that happens to be where the mosquitoes live, so they're in direct contact with malaria carrying mosquitoes. So people put up things like this, mosquito nets. You've seen these before probably. And people they have to hide themselves beneath that so that they are not susceptible or as likely to get bitten by a mosquito that could possibly be carrying malaria. How do mosquitoes give you malaria? They actually, they bite you, but what do they do when they bite you? They suck your blood, but then what do they do with what's inside of them? They throw it up in you. Okay, so what happens is there's a blood exchange. The blood that's inside the mosquito is regurgitated into your veins, and they take your blood too. So if somebody who had malaria, they took their blood, they could also pass it on to the next person. So that's why you try to hide yourself from mosquitoes, period. And so this is a sample of blood that they were testing to see if that person had malaria. They have different ways of doing that now, but they also are sending like missionaries, I guess, to places to determine if that place is going to be infested with malaria. He is really sick. You have a very high fever. If you are a victim to malaria, there are some anti-malaria drugs. It's called quinolines, but they sometimes have really bad effects, and so they make you feel even worse sometimes whenever you are trying to treat yourself for it. Yes, sir.
Isn't the West Nile and malaria pretty much the same thing almost?
Their symptoms are very similar. They're caused by different bacteriums.
But it's is it transferred through like an insect or something?
Yeah. West Nile is definitely spread through. I think it's mosquitoes and something else though too. And then we have sick child. Let's see here. Their bodies have not developed enough immunity to fight the disease, which can infect their brains and kill them. Yeah. Each day, malaria claims the lives of about 3,000 children, one every 30 seconds. That's crazy. And then these are where they're, okay, this is cool. This mosquito lab, they're actually mating mosquitoes in a way that makes all the mosquitoes infertile, which means they can't do what? They can't reproduce. So that those mosquitoes, yeah, they're gonna live for another day or so until somebody goes like that and kills them. Okay, but in between they can't reproduce. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of all the malaria-carrying mosquitoes and make new mosquitoes that have the ability, don't have the ability to reproduce, and there's essentially going to be no mosquitoes left. That's what they're trying to do, but mosquitoes, they make large amounts of babies at a time, so it's kind of hard. That's what they're doing. They're sterilizing all the mosquitoes. And what is this? Spraying pesticides, so you guys see. All right, questions on malaria? Nah, we did that. And okay, so you guys are going to do questions 11 through 14 tonight. Put a star by it. 11 through 14. And I'm going to have you guys do two things right now. We have about 45 minutes left. Great timing. Have you lab out that you started last week with your partner? You remember that lab where you had the PVC facing paper and I said off on that? Some of you guys started it and some of you didn't. So you should have a lab where you were drawing a table with like widow's peak type of thumb, protruding lips, with like you look inside, I think I have medium. Like my lips aren't flat, but they're not like that. So they're like medium. So you just have to look from your profile as to what your lips look like. That's why you should have a partner because it's hard to see your own lips. Okay? Alright, so you're going to finish that lab. That some of it's going to take 20 minutes to finish, and they're going to take 2 minutes to finish. So it just basically depends on where you are in that lab. After you finish that lab, give it to me, and then you're going to move on to my favorite lab, which is the different penny. And you get to make a baby. Okay? So after you finish that lab, you're going to get a yellow sheet. The yellow sheet has traits like nose, eyes, eyebrows, hair, freckles, dimples, whatever, and you're going to be determining the traits of your baby, okay? So it takes two to mingle, right? I don't care if you're a guy, girl, it does not matter. It's the 21st century. You're going to be flipping coins because you need to determine which trait you're giving your child. And the instructions are here, so you're going to determine the baby's gender by flipping a coin. If you flip a head, you're giving the X allele. If you flip a tail, you're giving the Y allele. So you're determining the sex first, and then so forth. So the instructions are on here. You're going to name it, but you're not going to draw your baby till the very end, because I'm going to make sure you get all the traits down first, okay? So this is for after you finish the first lab. Whenever you pick up a yellow sheet, you and your couple, your mate, will have to pick up one of these sheets as well, not two, just one. So I need one of these per grouping, okay? So finish this up first. See what you got to do. You guys are going to stay on this side of the room or in the front, because I have some people working over here. Okay, so you got this half of the room in the front. Can you grab one of these, please? If you've not even started, you guys just bet this is due. No matter if you start last, you come out. Don't try to partner. Yeah, this is Does anybody else see that paper?
I can put it on.
Okay, get the PTC tape.
You want to push
So you
some
go to the lab, go to forward. Okay, so this half is the lab. Yeah, now it's okay, you're ready. Your partner, you're ready. So when you guys work together, okay, so there's one of this, you don't need to talk to the same one. already got 2 sets before.
Not under the sun. I was with you the whole day. We did the boat. I guess I was.
Oh, that's what they were working on?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, start with cards. Like, start with the cup.
It's in
I'll leave that back there. Yeah.
Is it still like, are we still not doing the PCP thing?
Yeah, skip that one because the PVC paper's not working. It's old.
Where are the pen?
Palm tree.